You're listening to Pedaling Through Life, a 1,000-kilometer father-son Ashtavinayak Cycling Pilgrimage, presented by Sriram and Sunil KHANDBAHALE.
Two Wheels, One Soul, a cycle's tale of 1,000 kilometers, as told by Sunil's bicycle. I am made of metal and motion. Two wheels, a frame and a spirit that hums when the wind brushes past my handlebar. I was built to move, but I never knew that someday I'd move a soul. For years, I stood quietly in the corner of the house, wiped clean, oiled on Sundays, ready for short rides to work. My rider, Sunil, often took me through city lanes to his research centre, to the market, to thoughtful evening rides when he needed to clear his mind. I loved those rides, short but meaningful. But then, one morning, everything changed. He looked at me differently, not as transport, but as a companion. "Let's go on a pilgrimage," he said aloud. "All 8 Ashtavinayak temples, on cycles." At first, I thought it was one of those passing human dreams, bright in the morning, forgotten by night. But soon I saw him planning, polishing me, checking my gears, loading a saddlebag on my back. There was excitement in his eyes, the kind that only dreamers carry, and beside him, another young rider, his son, Sriram, stood with a spark I hadn't seen before. His own cycle, shiny and eager, stood next to me like a younger sibling. We looked at each other, two machines, one seasoned, one new, knowing we were about to share something unforgettable. The first pedal. From routine to reverence. When our journey began, I could feel the tremble in Sunil's legs, part excitement, part fear. The road was long, the destination far, but his faith was firm. As the first rays of dawn touched our frames, I whispered to the road beneath us, "We are ready." The road whispered back, "Then begin." Through cities and villages we rolled. I carried him not just on my seat, but in spirit, his laughter, his thoughts, his silent prayers. Every time he leaned forward to climb a hill, I felt his heartbeat through the pedals. Every time we coasted downhill, I heard his sigh of freedom. I saw people turn and stare. Children waved, elders blessed, dogs chased, each adding a note to the music of our pilgrimage. At Jejuri, I waited near a wall while Sunil and Sriram disappeared into the temple crowd. My wheels cooled from the heat of the road, my frame resting, but I could still feel the vibration of their devotion returning through the ground, as if the earth itself was alive with prayer. Lessons from the road cyclists say they ride for freedom. I say we ride for truth, because when you're on two wheels you cannot lie, not to yourself, not to the world. Every mistake shows. Every effort counts. I've seen Sunil ride through rain, drenched, smiling, unstoppable. I've seen him battle the sun's fire, lips dry yet still whispering, "Gampati Bappa Moria." I felt his muscles weaken, then rise again with the thought of his son beside him. And oh, the son! Sriram, young, strong, impatient, curious. His cycle would often race ahead, then wait, turning back to see if we were coming. Sometimes I'd hear his laughter echo behind me, teasing his father with youthful energy. Other times, silence, the kind of silence that happens when a boy is learning something deep about life, about his father, about himself. At Thur, when Sunil rested his hand on my seat and said softly, "The road teaches more than books," I knew he was right. The beauty I witnessed. If humans have eyes, I have wheels, and they too can see. I've seen fog kiss the mountains at Lonavala like a dream still half asleep. I've seen trees bend like mothers offering shade to their travelling children. I've seen small villages come alive with morning prayers and cows returning home by dusk. I've seen temple bells swinging in rhythm with my spokes. I've seen kindness on unknown faces, a tea vendor, a fellow cyclist, a stranger offering directions like blessings. And I've seen the bond between father and son bloom like sunlight after rain. They spoke less but shared more. Their pauses were deeper than their words. Sometimes I'd feel Sunil slow down, pretending to adjust me, but really he was letting his son lead. And sometimes I'd feel his hand tighten on the grip, a father's instinct to protect. Rest, reflection, and renewal. There were days when I ached, my tyres thin, my chain heavy with mud. But the care I received was almost tender. At every stop, Sunil would check my brakes, clean my gears, tighten my bolts. To others it was maintenance, to me it was love. At night, when we were parked outside a temple or resting in a humble lodge, I'd listen to their conversations, dreams, plans, laughter. Sometimes silence. And I think silence is sacred when shared between hearts that understand. I also learned something about faith. Humans go to temples to meet their gods. But for me, the road was the temple and the journey itself was the prayer. The final stretch, when we reached Pali, the last Ashtavinayak temple, I felt something divine flow through my frame. The road had tested us, the weather had shaped us, and faith had carried us. Sunil stood beside me, eyes moist, looking at Lord Ganesha's idol. Sriram stood next to him, hands folded, head bowed. I couldn't pray, but I think I did, in my own silent language of steel and spokes. That night, when they took a holy dip in the warm spring waters, I waited under the starlit sky. Raindrops rested on my handlebar like blessings. For a moment I felt alive, not as a machine, but as a witness to something eternal. On the way back, I could sense their eagerness to reach home, to return to the ones waiting for them. The same legs that had pedalled thousands of turns now carried gratitude instead of fatigue. When we finally reached Nashik, I stood outside the house, muddy, tired and shining. Inside, laughter filled the air, hugs bridged the days apart, and the aroma of home-cooked food filled the space like divine prasad. No one noticed me much, and that's fine, because I was never meant to be the hero. I was the bridge between father and son, between faith and freedom, between silence and understanding. My reflection: people often think cycles are lifeless, but I believe we are keepers of human stories. We remember the sweat, the laughter, the prayers whispered while riding uphill, and the peace felt when the road evens out again. If I could speak to all humans, I'd say this: don't rush through life. Ride it slowly. Feel the bumps, the wind, the effort and the joy. Because the road doesn't just take you somewhere, it makes you someone. And if Lord Ganesha were to bless me, I'd ask for nothing more than this. Let me always carry hearts that seek meaning, not miles. For I am just a bicycle. But on this journey of 1,000 kilometers, I became something more, a silent witness to love, faith, and the human spirit in motion.
You've been listening to Pedaling Through Life, a 1,000-kilometer father-son Ashtavinayak Cycling Pilgrimage, presented by Sriram and Sunil KHANDBAHALE. The journey continues. See you on the next ride.